Welcome to the Gigless Podcast, a podcast showcasing the works and talents of those who lost their gigs due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This podcast will feature a range of creatives from the tri-state area who are young visionaries and who contribute to the craft despite the recent events that have happened. Join us today as our host Remi Leibovic speaks with Joanna, a singer, dancer, and model from New York City. Born in Paris, Joanna moved to New York to attend the prestigious Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, as well as start as a career as a dance choreographer and a product ambassador for Dance in Motion. You can learn more about her and the other projects in the show notes of this episode. Enjoy.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Gigless, the podcast that was created to document how COVID-19 is affecting all our tri-state area creatives. Today, I am joined by my great guest, Joanna.
Hi.
So, Joanna, can you tell us your full name, where you're from, and where you reside?
My name is Johanna Pellerin. I'm from Paris, and I am currently doing my quarantine in Miami, Florida.
Right. So, you are primarily based in New York, correct?
Yes.
Right. So, you are a dancer and you are a professional ballerina, correct?
Yes, I'm a professional dancer.
Right. So, when did you get into dance and what made you want to go to New York City?
I started dancing, I was 4 years old, but I started really getting into it and thinking about making it my job when I was about 14 years old. I decided I wanted to move to the States when I was 16, and I actually moved to New York at 18. I just always wanted to travel, and New York is kind of heaven for dancers because there's so many opportunities, so many possibilities out here that it was definitely something I wanted to do before settling down or having anything holding me back.
Right. So you're originally from Paris, right?
Yes.
So what is the difference between Paris dance and ballet versus New York dance and ballet?
Well, the French ballet school or dance school in general is pretty traditional. They really stick with what they know and their values they had for centuries because France basically built ballet technique. So it's pretty hard to have your own voice or being heard or try to experience new things when New York, because it's such the United States in general is such a young country compared to Europe. So it's a lot easier to have a new voice here and more creativity, and you realize that there's so many more possibilities out here and that there is ways of dancing or thinking about dance that you didn't even thought about before. So that's the biggest difference between dancing in Europe and dancing here.
So what ballet school are you a part of?
I am currently at the Alvin Ailey dance school.
At the what?
Which, the Alvin Ailey Dance School that is attached to the Alvin Ailey Dance Company.
Right. And so how was the admissions process for that? Did you fly over here and demonstrate, or did you do it and did you submit a video? How was that process?
I decided to flew here for a live audition because I thought that it would make me look more professional and more invested and interested in the school, because for me it was really important to show to the director of the school that I really wanted to be a part of it. So I decided to flew here. My mom came with me, and the audition was an hour and a half audition starting with ballet and then modern dance technique. We were about 100 dancers in the room, knowing that day they probably auditioned over 400 people.
Right. How was that?
It was pretty stressful because I did a lot of ballet, so I knew what I was going for. But the modern dance is something that I've never done before, so I had no idea what I was putting myself into. And seeing all those talented, amazing people that were with me in the room, and like people from all over the world, it was really, really impressive. So I was pretty stressed out. I really didn't thought I was gonna get into it. Honestly,
I'm so happy that you did.
I am so glad that I did. I was speechless when I received the answer.
So, what is your typical gig then? Like, is your typical performance?
I do music video mostly. So people hire me to choreograph or dance in music video. But I also do like performance for event. Like for example, I did the last New York Fashion Week. A friend of mine was having an art show, and he asked me to perform for his show.
Right. So you do art shows, you do choreography. Do you do like, dancing for live shows? Do you do any theater performances with your school?
I did some theater performances with my school this year, but it's such a different process.
Right.
That this year made me realize that that might not be what I want right now. That might be something that would be for me in the future. But as of right now, I realize that I'm more into shooting with music video, working with cameras, working with different art at the same time. That's something that I'm more interested in right now. But the theater world, it's such a different world. Those two are completely different jobs.
Right. And I know you through a friend. You're also a model.
Yeah, I model. I started my first year here, so 2017. I actually started with Jay, which was I got asked for a hoodie brand that were looking for models, dancers. So we did that first photo shoot, and then through this, I met other photographers that asked to work with me. And every time you work with people get interested in what you're doing. So I started modeling like this, and now I'm an ambassador for a dance brand. And I exclusively I only do dance photo shoots and dance modeling.
So what's the brand that you're the ambassador for?
It's called Dance in Motion. It's based in California, in LA. So they do dance bags, leotards, tutus, dance shoes. I mean, everything that is necessary to a dancer. So, they send me their products or get the products with a discount, and I shoot with them to promote the brand. And yeah, that's basically how it works.
And for context for our listeners, the photographer that she's talking about is this photographer. You can find him on Instagram at @JLewis_. So shout out to Jay. So that's so interesting that what your typical gig consists of. And so, I know that you're originally from Paris, living in New York City, and now you had to fly down to Miami to work out the quarantine. How has COVID-19 affected your dancing?
The first thing is that I was supposed to graduate in May. So now that the school is closed, I have to take all of my classes online. So I'm going to graduate, obviously, but it's not going to happen like it should have happened. We are supposed to have a performance and then, a ceremony or something. And right now, everything is going to be online. The second thing is that, you have to... Now I can't dance with anyone. I have to only dance by myself, which is a big challenge because usually when you're in the studio, you feed on one another energies and you get inspired by the people you're dancing with and you're sharing the studio with. The teacher is there to give you something to work with, material, and he gives you corrections. So it's such a difference to have to work without physical interaction when the whole job, the whole practice is based on it. But
Right.
it's also like it makes you twice more creative because you have to build everything from nothing.
Right, and it's that bounce back between two creative people in the field. And go ahead.
It's like right now it makes me feel like a lion in a cage. I feel like I'm running in circle and building things in my mind, and that once they're gonna set me free, I'm just gonna be able to like be myself again, and that's a frustrating feeling. At the same time, it's also an amazing feeling to feel like you're building things inside of you, and those things are gonna be so great for you in the future. You just have to be patient.
So what is your daily routine then?
I woke up, I take my online classes with my school, then I have to do paperwork for them. And then in general, I'm going to do a 1 hour workout and some stretching because I still need to like keep my body flexible and in shape. Um, and then I'll watch a movie and like go to sleep. But I'm trying to stay as active as I can and keep a regular sleep schedule and waking up every day at the same time. Cook a lot because that's something that is so important. Is like staying healthy because it's so easy to get caught up in being lazy.
It is. I'm guilty of that. I'm so guilty of that. I need to get back onto my health routines. But as a dancer, I know that, it's, especially as doing ballet, what is it like for your body right now? Do you feel different, or do you have to be maintaining the same amount of work that you were doing before this?
I try to keep like the same amount of work but work differently because I realized that actually since this quarantine has started, my body feels better. My legs are less heavy. I'm less tired, less sore because I can't just work on my strength. I also have to work on releasing my body. And because I'm by myself, I don't have the whole stress of being with a teacher and people around you that look at you and have a constant judgment on yourself. As of right now, the only person that can judge me is me. And it's such a different way of working. And I feel like that physical break was much needed. And it feels great. It honestly feels amazing.
So, how else are you coping with this? So you're getting more in tune with what your body needs versus how other people think, like what they think your body needs.
Yeah,
what are some
exactly.
other ways that, that you're coping with this as a professional dancer?
I'll take more time to warm up. I'll take more time to understand my body and listen to it because I have no limits of time. And I have space just for myself, so I don't have to worry about anyone being around and bothering me in a way. And also, like, I can eat whenever I start hungry. I can eat whatever, like, how much I want to eat because I have time to spend on it. When usually it's always like you got a 20 minutes break to eat and you got to eat this and this because you have that class and that class is going to last for an hour and a half, so you only get this hour and a half to do this. When here it's like if I want to spend 10 more minutes on doing something and 20 more minutes on doing something else, I can. I have the possibility to do so, and that makes me understand that like sometimes you got to get outside of the system to know yourself.
Right.
And it's really hard to get caught up in people's expectations and what they think is better for you because you don't know what truly is best for you because you don't have the time to think about it.
So you're taking a more introspective look at yourself and your daily routines.
Yeah, I feel like it's a great opportunity to like grow as an artist and as a person, and realizing that the system is great, but I also need to know what my body needs and how much time I need for things. So once things are going to go back to normal, I can also be like, okay, that's the system, but that also, there is a different way for me of working for my body that works great.
Right. And so how has this changed your ballet? Because it's changed the way that you've treated your body and how you're looking at your physical state. How has this changed your dance?
For ballet, I feel like I might not be progressing faster, but dancing smarter. I am less in pain, less stressed out. My articulation hurt less. My body is less sore because I can do the movement on my own time and work however I feel like my body needs to work at that time. When usually when you're in the studio, you got to follow what the teacher tells you to do, and you got to go at the same speed, which is it's great because you got to, like, every dancer has to be on the same page, but at the same time, if you really want to progress, at some point you need to listen to your body. And it changed my dancing because this whole thing just made me more creative because I need to find new ways of keeping my body and my mind awake and creative and inspired. So this whole thing is changing the way I'm approaching my movement, the way I'm approaching my body, and I think that that's a great thing.
No, I think it's excellent too. I think everything that you're saying has just been so wonderful, and that you're approaching this whole situation in a very, positive manner, and that it's a way to ease into change and transform some things that you just didn't have the time to in your previous schedule. So
Yeah.
What is a way that you are, keeping inspired? Like, how has this made you more creative?
Well, I have a pretty small space here, and there is not a lot of lights. So, usually, like, especially at 80, the studios are so big and so bright that you get, for example, I'm really tall. So teacher always tell me, like, take the space, move bigger, use your length, your arms, you're 5'8", just, like, show off. And right now I'm in such a small space that it makes me feel even taller. And at some point I was just like, what if I acted like I'm 6 foot tall? And this whole thing just changed, like, it completely shifted my state of mind. I was like, okay, that's a pretty small space, but you can do so much in it. I was like, that's not because there's a couch that you should stop stretching your legs. Just stretch your legs and hit the couch. What is going to happen? Nothing. And now I'm, like, thinking the space as, like, obstacles or actually what's going to help me being inspired and moving a different way. Right. What if instead of rejecting the wall and being scared of approaching it, what if I used it to help me dance? What if instead of, like, trying to get in the light, what if I played with my shadow? There's so many different things that come up when the space is something you're not used to.
Right. And I think that that's such a creative way that you're approaching dance, because I know that so many people took for granted the studio space that they don't have any access to anymore. So you're working with limited resources, but you're making the best out of those limited resources.
I mean, that's the thing, is, like, we all, everyone, me included, took for granted the studio and the theater because it's our home, because it's something that we see every day, because it's our workspace. And the mistakes I don't want to do is going back to it and take it for granted again. So I need to learn how to make the best out of every situation that I'm in. And I think that learning that in a space that is new to me, because obviously I don't live in Miami on a daily basis. This is a new apartment for me. This is a new space. And I'm like, how can I still be me and do new things and still be inspired in an environment that is so new?
Right. So,
and I feel that that's the way of not taking for granted what I'm used to having.
I think that's an excellent explanation of your situation. And I just want to bring it back for a minute. So, you are originally from France. And the way that the rest of the world looked at this pandemic versus the United States, there's a big difference in that. as someone who is from another country living in the United States, Europe really woke up to this pandemic before we did. How was your family responding to it? Like, how were your friends responding to it, knowing that you were here in the States and they were already beginning lockdowns in Europe and in France?
So what happened is that my parents came to LA because I was supposed to join them for spring break. But that's exactly the same week where Europe shut down and where the quarantine started in New York. So what happened is that I told my parents I won't be joining them in LA. And my parents just flew back to Paris and went back home. So the first reaction I had was, do I stay or do I go? And I thought about it. I was like, as much as I don't know how long this is going to be, that I know I'm going to have to stay alone, that I know it's going to be really hard for my family to accept that they're not going to be able to see me, I have to think of a bigger picture. I can't just think of the next 3 months. I need to think of the next year. And what I want in the next year is being in New York. So I told my parents, I was like, I have to stay here. I have to be in this country for this quarantine because I don't want to be stuck in France because that's not where I want to build my life. And my parents were very understanding of it, even if it's really hard for them to like know that I'm by myself here. But at the same time, it's also for me a great way to realize that what it takes to be an adult, what it takes to take full responsibility for your choices and being committed to them. And this whole thing is making me realize that I'm a lot stronger as a person than what I thought I was, and that I am capable of being independent and taking care of myself besides what my family could, like, if they could support me or be there with me. And I think that's a great life experience, and I'm really glad to go through this at such a young age because I'm going to grow so much out of it. At the same time, I see that, like, Europe is dealing a lot better with the situation that the States are for whatever reason. And I think that France is going to be okay. That's why I'm not worried for my family at all because I know they're going to be okay. So I just hope that it's going to get better soon and that we're kind of going to be able to go back to a more normal lifestyle. But at the same time, I feel like everyone needed this to happen to realize that there is things that we took for granted and that we were acting a wrong way and that there might be things that we need to correct if we want to avoid this situation again.
Right. And before the interview, you were talking about how people took the arts for granted. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about that?
It's just like I had a pretty fun conversation with a friend of mine that was like, so we used to go to high school together, and he used to always tell me, dance is not a big deal, art is not a big deal, it doesn't matter. And then we were talking on the phone, and he was like, I literally just spend my days on Netflix watching documentaries and listening to music. And I was like, that's pretty fun coming from someone that thought that art were useless. Because if you think about it, all those music apps, videos, YouTube, all of this is art. It's built by performing artists and entertainment and all those people that work in the art world. So people think that it's useless when actually art is such a big part of our lives. People are complaining not being able to go to the movie theater. That's art. People are complaining not being able to go on Broadway, watch a show. That's art. People are complaining not being able to go to a museum. All of this only exists because artists exist and performers. And people keep saying that art is useless, but I'm like, at the end of it, once you don't have your job and you have nothing left to do, you're going back to art because that's the first thing that is going to make you feel better, because it's going to actually make you feel something. And same, people are still going back to singing, going back to modeling, going back to drawing, going back to cooking, because all those things are art, and the whole point is to entertain you and make you feel something. So I really think that people should realize that art is actually such a big thing and such a big deal, and that artists should never be underrated or thinking that we're useless, because we are what makes your life a lot easier.
Yeah, we're the things that
we
beautify
give you
life.
something to have fun with.
Yeah. We're definitely the things to beautify life and make things more interesting. I mean, so, are you taking to the internet? Are you doing live streams? How are you using, your resources during this time to like spread art and, show people performance more?
My first thing was going back to live streaming or posting more dance videos, because I think that it's really important to show people that it's not this that is stopping artists from doing their job. And people are spending so much time on social media right now because that's one of the only thing you can't do. And they still need to see something on their feed. They still need to see art. And I really think that me doing this is actually entertaining some people.
Right.
And I went back to singing, starting like posting videos of me singing and stuff like that. And I think that like keeping people entertained and showing them that I am still doing my thing, whether or not this pandemic is happening, is what I am supposed to do as a performing artist. I shouldn't be stopping entertaining or doing art just because I can't go outside or I don't have access to the studios. Because if you're truly creative, you're truly an artist, you should be able to do some art out of anything.
Yeah, I'm actually using rocks in my backyard and I'm painting them because I'm starting a garden. I have a backyard, so I'm starting a garden and I wanted to put in all this decorations and stuff to make them look nice. But then I just thought, I was like, hey, instead of spending all this money on decorations, let me just go and paint on rocks like mandalas, and then they look so much nicer and it's just so much better because it like came from me, to be put in the garden. So yeah, it's definitely working with what you have with the creative skills that you have.
Exactly. It's just you gotta make the most out of it. Honestly, there's nothing else to do. And like, especially for dancers and performing artists, we have no excuse.
Right.
We are artists. We are supposed to be creative and inspired. And if you're not capable of being inspired by what's going on, but what you're feeling, then there's something wrong. Because we are feeling, right now, everyone is feeling frustration, sadness, happiness. They're relaxing. They're maybe stressed about different things. There is so many things you can get inspired by that there is no reason for us to stop doing whatever we're meant to do.
So what's something that's inspiring you right now? Like, is there any, famous dancer, any, painter? Is there anybody creative that's inspiring you right now?
As of right now, I have a couple of friends that are really getting me inspired because I love the way they're dealing with the situation. A lot of my friends from school, because it's such a different feelings to see them outside of what we do at school, and I'm realizing that there's a lot of things about them as artists that I didn't know, and I'm really pleased to see how everyone is dealing with this, because everyone is being so creative. It's just amazing. But if I had to give one person in particular that getting inspired, he's actually not a dancer at all.
That's
but
fine.
He's a chef for a restaurant called Baby Brasa. His name is Franco Norvega. He's Peruvian. But he's a fitness model, a singer, and a chef for this restaurant. And he does all those like videos of like healthy meal you can do at home easily, and how to work out from home, and like not stopping your workout because of what is going on, that you can still keep like taking care of your body and like access your body goals, and like how this pandemic is not stopping him from doing his thing. And I just love that, like, he is being so open about how he's dealing with things.
Yeah, there's definitely more of an acceptance, I feel now, with being vulnerable, because everybody is feeling a certain way, you know? There's sometimes that people are just like, hey, I can't do an interview, or something came up, and I just, you know, I let it go, I let it fly, because it's like, I know that everybody's in a compromising position right now. And, you know, what else can you do other than just be compassionate and understanding, especially in this time?
Yeah, I mean, everyone is dealing with the situation a different way, but everyone should also, I feel like it's a great opportunity to just reconnect with one another. Open your mind to different people, because usually you don't open up to people because you don't have time. And right now, except time, like, we have plenty of time to just, like, call your family, call friends you haven't talked to in a long time, and ask them what they did, what they want to do once this is over. Have a simple conversation with people, just reconnect. Or even if you don't want to talk to anyone, reconnect with yourself. Ask yourself, what do I feel today? And what am I going to do about it?
Right.
Like,
so
this is absolutely no reason to just close off to everyone.
Right. And so where do you see yourself after this? Like, where do you see yourself in the near future?
I'm definitely planning on going back to New York pretty soon, because I have some visa thing that I need to deal with. But as once this is gonna be kind of over, people are gonna start hiring again. I'm gonna start auditioning. I know I have a couple of, like, video shoot set up that we need to talk about, because, like, it's just a matter of time. Honestly, it's just a matter of when is it going to happen, because we don't know when this quarantine is exactly going to be over. But I know I have some projects on hold. Modeling is also, like, definitely something I'm going to get back to this summer. So yeah, I have a couple of, like, things, and I'm just waiting for this to be over to go back to them.
And I think that once you go back to them, I think that because your routine sounds so strong and what you're doing is so good, I think that you'll be, like, excellent at that.
That's the thing, is, like, so many people are getting lazy and watching Netflix all day and not doing anything productive, that once you're going back to real life, it's going to be really hard to have a schedule and a routine and go back to your life, because we are getting used to not doing anything and just waiting all day. And that's why I really wanted to, like, keep a routine, even if it's a different one, because you got to adapt. Keep having a schedule and things to do and staying busy and not sleeping all day, because I want to be able to go back to a natural life without getting frustrated or without any difficulty. And that's what's going to make the difference between people that are going to find a job right away and people that are going to struggle.
Yes, and you're referring to the dance field, because you need to, your body is essentially your portfolio. If you, and especially ballet, because ballet is so intense for the muscles that if you don't keep up that certain type of routine, it can all fall apart. So for our listeners that have never, known much about ballet or don't have any background in ballet, what she is referring to is that she needs to keep up these routines. She needs to live this kind of lifestyle still, even while we're in quarantine, because if she doesn't and she goes back, she can actually become injured. Like, she can actually injure herself if she goes and doesn't, keep up her body right now. Because that's another big thing, is a lot of people get injured in ballet, yes?
Yeah.
And in dance.
I mean, that's the thing that goes with sports. When you put your body on the line, there is chance of getting injured. That's why you got to be super smart with how you work with your body and who you allow to work with you, because everyone has a different way of working. So there is some people that might be amazing, but the way they're working might not be right for you. So that's also a great thing with this pandemic, is that you can take a step back and analyze how you've been working so far and try to make the right adaptation to what's coming next. Like, I'm realizing now there is people of things or way that I had to work that might have worked at the time, but are not working for me anymore, and that I need to change those things in order to be more professional, work more efficiency, and like be better. And I have my body is my portfolio. I have to keep my body on the line. I have to be in shape because that's how I've been my whole life, and that's what is going to get me money.
Right.
So if you're an athlete, a dancer, ballet, hip hop, it doesn't matter the type of dance, because as long as you're a dancer, you should be in shape, or some kind of like stamina or muscle or something.
Right.
So you have to keep your body on the line.
Absolutely. And so, we're closing in on our time here. Are there any final thoughts that you'd like to share with us?
Keep being productive. Do not get caught up in I am alone, I'm lonely, I have nothing to do, I don't know what to do with myself. You can find so many ways of entertaining yourself. Just go on YouTube and tap the most random thing you're thinking about, like how to make a cupcake with unicorns on it. Like, stupid things, but keep your brain active, keep your thoughts alive, stay inspired, and talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to yourself if you have to, but you gotta keep your brain alive and your body alive, because otherwise we're never gonna get out of it, and we're gonna keep doing the same mistakes.
Right. I think that that's great advice, and especially from someone who's so active in the professional world of dance. I think that, everybody could learn something new, or everybody could, just keep them. I definitely am a big mental health advocate when it comes to, challenge yourself every day in some way, some shape or form. Like, just the little things, like, okay, if you wanted to, if you're not feeling that great, but that you want to get things done, like, I don't know, do laundry that day, or do or rearrange stuff, or there's so much that regular life just didn't give you the time to do. Well, now you have the time to do it.
I just feel like nobody should get off this quarantine, this pandemic, being the same person that they were when it started. We should all in some way have changed or learned from it, growth. This is an amazing opportunity to finally have times for things that we usually don't have times for. And we should make the most out of it, because that's what being smart is. We should be so smart about this. People that just sit around all day and watch Netflix for a month straight, for me, that's unacceptable. You should do some type of things. How are you supposed to be able to go back to your life if you don't know what life is anymore?
That's true. I think that especially as creative people, we need to be able to, when things reopen, we need to know how to recreate the worlds, or bring back to our communities new skills that we learned, or help our communities be more, full of gigs, full of shows, and really support each other in those.
I just feel it's like a poker game. You know what you have in your hands, and once you're going to put everything on the table, you should be able to win. You should be able to get all the money that is on the table.
I like that. And I think that we will. I think that as soon as everything opens again and people are allowed to gather, I think a lot of creatives are just people are going to sell out. I really think that shows and performances and galleries are just going to sell out and be packed.
That's for sure, but that's great, because that means that people are interested in what we have to say, what artists have to say.
Yeah.
And they want to see. And I think that shows should be twice better than what they were. I mean, most of them were already great, but like with the whole frustration of not being able to perform and everything that you learned about yourself at that time, seeing your friends again, being on stage again, being home, and having people coming and want to see you perform, knowing that that's the first thing they're going to do once they get out of their home, those performances should be insane.
Yeah, like everybody give it their all. Like as you said earlier,
Exactly.
everyone's been caged up for too long, and it's just as soon as they get released, they're going to go like they're going to give it their best.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
and people are going to fight for those jobs. I am sure that those auditions are going to be a war zone.
yeah, definitely, because you want the opportunity to shine and you want the opportunity to start, performing again. But
yeah.
I wanted to say, thank you so much.
Also,
oh, go ahead.
There's also, so people know, we are the social media generation. So if you're an artist or a dancer or a singer or something, keep your social media alive, because there is things that you don't know, but people are looking through your social media. 50% of the audition process is your social media. People are looking through it and they want to know that you did something during this quarantine. They're going to want to know that you keep being an artist and you're doing what you're meant to do, even with this time. It's stupid, but we are social media generation. We are internet generation. So we got to use it at our advantage.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be people checking up on you, and that's another reason why, I'm hosting Gigless, because there are going to be people that critique and be like, oh, what did you do during this time period? Well, my guests can say, I was on a podcast. So I think that that's an excellent use of time, and I think that what you're doing is great, and I thank you so much for being on this podcast.
Thanks so much for inviting me to be in it.
Well, where can our listeners find you? On social media or anywhere else?
My Instagram, my name on social media in general is Jojo16, JOJHO16 in number. I have Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook. I do not have Twitter. I am completely against that one. But you can find me on social media pretty easily.
Okay, we're going to put the links in the show notes so everybody can find you, as well as the school that you dance for and the performances that you've done. So thank you again so much, Joanna, for being on this episode of Gigless.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, Dane, take us out.
Thank you for listening to the Gigless podcast, hosted by Remi Leibovic and produced by Dane Wagner. The song used in our intro and outro is Beach Walk by Unicorn Heads. If you enjoyed this podcast, head over to our social media pages on Instagram at Gigless Podcast and our website, giglesspodcastblog.wordpress.com. There you can find out more about the artist, contact the host and producer, and find out more about our schedule. Thank you.